Just a second. This was to keep everybody inside, but I'll try to live with this. All right. Uh, my name is Rahul, and I'm really grateful to be here. And I'm grateful because this event exists. And so thank you so much to the UCC team, Shipra, Mayank, and everybody to actually organize this. It's great that we get this chance to actually meet with other UXRs and learn from one another. Okay, yeah, this is much better. So I'm here talking about the next experience, and the next experience is generally focused on understanding how things are changing, things are evolving. Of course, AI has a big role to play, and how UX research overall is going forward. And of course, this is my point of view, and it'll be great to actually debate about this when anybody has some questions and time to discuss this. All right. So to start off with, I'm a little nervous speaking to everybody because one, I'm speaking a little late in the afternoon, and this is after lunch. The fire alarm is going to go off. But it's something which perhaps AI will not get nervous about. It's given a prompt, you tell it what to do, it will execute perfectly. You want it to be nervous, you can feed that in. It'll actually choose to be nervous at that time. No matter what you do, it will kind of execute the task. So it's something like what I'd like to call a over-eager coworker, and they're kind of getting all the applause. In fact, I feel guilty every time I have to tell my team that, hey, to do this, I took AI's support. But yeah, that's I think my own issue there. All right. The other reason why I felt this is important to talk about today is because the times they are changing. This is a song by Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan wrote this song in the 1960s about the civil rights movement, and somehow the lyrics seemed relevant today. And he talked about, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for times they are changing. And I felt that this is the time where we also need to adapt, and otherwise we will sink as well. So this is kind of important for us to keep aware of. The other thing, I don't know if this is happening at your org as well, but at least in my team, my PMs are designing. They prepare the PRD, they say, hey, this is what we're looking for as well. The designers, they're coding. Engineers are doing the A/B testing, and everybody's speaking to users. And which is a good thing. I think everybody should speak to users. If you're in a product company, you need to all empathize with users, and speaking to them is always a good thing. But again, this became one of those things about, if everybody is doing my job, what am I really doing here? So this became another important question for me about how do I stay relevant today? If you can show of hands, how many of you feel that this is happening at your org as well? Okay, that's much more than I was expecting, but that's great. All right. If you all have any clues on how to deal with this, we can discuss that a little later as well. All right. I think we heard this prompt in one of the earlier talks today, and a lot of the times I use this when I'm going on AI to get answers. So act as a UXR, and then I kind of continue. And one day, I was doing exactly this. I wanted to get some idea on a research methodology. I wanted to see in case I can do things in a slightly different way. And I started this prompt and act as a UXR. And the kind of output I got was it was very different from what I was expecting. And that's what kind of prompted me to talk about this today as well. So I asked for the research methodology. It gave me that. It gave me a pretty detailed methodology. It started talking about secondary research. It actually even conducted this secondary research for me. I had the output for that, the main highlights. It told me whom to meet. It created 3 different personas. It conducted the interviews with these personas. I got the output for that as well. I needed the recommendations. I had those recommendations. It gave me the roadmap for future research, and it also gave me stakeholder-specific outputs, which I can go to different stakeholders and present separately. It was incredible, and it took precisely 5 minutes, and I was like, damn, this is scary. And what do I really do? Is this very different from what I would normally present? I have to say, I got some ideas from there, but it wasn't everything. So I think all of you would have also felt this. AI is not perfect, and this is where our opportunity lies. So this is some of the rules that I've created, but it's something which it'll be great to get your point of view on whether you feel this is agreeable for you or not. Okay. Now, to start off, I wanted to create a research question which we can keep going back to, and it was kind of difficult to come up with something academic like what do we do as UXRs to stay relevant in the time of AI. I didn't want to use something as complex as that, so I thought I'd start with something a little more fundamental, which is why did the chicken cross the road? And of course, I started with act as a UXR and generate a research plan for. So yeah, so this is a very important question, and why did the chicken cross the road? Now, the one thing which I felt is really important is I framed the question. I asked, why did the chicken cross the road? Of course, it's a human question. It's not a question which is generated by AI. So this is one of the most important things for me, was the question is mine because I wanted the answer for this particular question. So that Dimag ki batti is created by me. Now, this is basically the first attribute of the first rule which I wanted to talk about, is that the rule of ignition. You must strike the match. So agents are autonomous. They do whatever you ask it to do. But whatever it does is something which you need to put in. You ask the question and then it does the answering. So it doesn't wander. It doesn't wake up on its own. You have to literally put in the cue for it to give a response. It has the ambition of a rock, pretty much. It has zero intrinsic motivation, and it needs that push, and that push needs to come from a human. Now, why is this relevant? It's because we have to ask the right kind of questions. Like, for example, this is an example of Google Maps. I don't know how many of you all have seen this feature. It launched a year or so back. It's about taking the flyover. So when you're driving on a road, it just tells you, hey, this, rather than going under the flyover, go on the flyover, it'll help you out. It's a very simple feature, but it made a big difference. At least to me, I use it every day. And so this is born out of the question around how can we help users? So this was something which was really important in that context. Now, let's go back to the second one. So coming back to the question, why did the chicken cross the road? I know I'm not a chicken, but I do cross roads. And I do feel that a little bit of anxiety, worried about, hey, how is the traffic? What's the traffic going? What's the traffic situation? I think about what is on the other side of the road. I do have that bit of understanding and that bit of empathy. That feeling is there. That kuch kuch hota hai feeling is something which I feel, and I'm sure you all feel it with your users as well, about different aspects. So this is the second rule, which is the rule of emotional reality. You must be the heart. So suppose you're speaking to a participant and the participant starts crying. I don't know why I have to say start crying, but let's assume that it's happened only once in one of my interviews, but let's assume that that's not very important. You get a knot in your stomach. You feel it. But in AI, they will not feel it. It's like it's like a vending machine. So if you're ordering Coke, you press a button and you get the Coke at the end of the day, and AI will function in that manner. So it's called there's a term for this. It's called effective computing, and it just knows the right things to say. So if someone comes and tells you, hey, your app sucks, it'll say that it'll have the right kind of sounds and emotions at the end of the day. You will actually feel it. The AI will not really feel it as well. And how is this applicable? This is an actual photo from from my Wordle. I actually look at it every day. I really feel bad whenever I see my streak was of 89. But I've never been able to beat it. It had happened literally 2 years ago. I somehow get distracted. It just doesn't work. But it keeps me motivated. And I think we were talking about the game, the gaming research that the team had done. It's so amazing how, you need to know what really keeps people motivated. And you can't do that without empathizing with them. That's something which AI cannot do. And Duolingo has to come in one of those. It's really nagging, but it nags you because it knows you. So that's one of those interesting things. I've not gone on to Apple Watch yet, but my wife says those circles kind of work for her as well. Anyway, so that's her thing. Okay, now moving on to the chicken again. I think this is the part around finding connections. I don't know if any of you have seen these ads with Abhishek Bachchan on Idea. It was this What an Idea surgery, and he used to come up with really interesting problems, and he used to give very simplistic solutions. And I think that was a really, really cool concept. And I was just thinking about it in terms of this whole question of why did the chicken cross the road? Suppose I'm hungry. Let's assume I didn't have lunch, which was amazing, by the way. If I was hungry right now, I would just think that, hey, this chicken is hungry. It needs to go across the road to the Pizza Hut across. If I've seen Home Alone, it's imagining that, hey, its family is on the other side and it needs to go there. Or if it's, it could be pretty much anything. So basically, you use your own personal context to make a connection. So this is the third rule, which is the rule of synthesis. So you must catch the aha. So AI does not get the aha moment. It operates from probability. It predicts the next likely word and justifies this prediction, which is basically decorative reasoning. So humans make something called non-linear leaps, in which you can associate, let's say, traffic jams with mental health. AI will not be able to do that. It follows token A will likely reach token B based on some predictable algorithm that is created there. Okay, now this is my favorite example in the whole deck. It's about Houston Airport, and what happened there was quite interesting. Everybody was complaining about the baggage taking a long time for it to come, and they didn't know what to do. Like they were thinking of optimizing something, getting more staff, efficiencies, optimization. All the corporate words were coming up in the meetings, and then there's someone who just said, "Let's just move the arrival gates a little further." It was as simple as that. They moved the arrival gates further, and what that meant is, instead of getting off the plane and going to the arrival gates in a couple of minutes, they now took 10 minutes to reach there. The baggage still took the 12 minutes to get there, but the time was spent in walking for most of the people. So they were not waiting. So the insight is about active time, which is walking, versus passive time, waiting. So when you are doing active, when there's active time involved, basically you don't think about time. Time tends to pass faster. Passive time is when time travels slower. So basically, without changing anything in their systems, just by moving the arrival gates a little further, they have ended up with having zero complaints about the waiting times. So I think that was one of the more interesting insights which came up, which I don't know if AI will be able to come up with. Of course, today you put this into AI, and then AI will be able to predict it. But coming up with it first is the more critical aspect. Okay, now I don't know how many of you all are Friends fans, and you've seen this really iconic scene of Pivot. This is not one of Ross's favorite moments, but it didn't work out well for him if you've not seen it. But what I'm trying to talk about is this importance of pivoting, and it's something which we need to do. If you're speaking to someone, if you're if you get some more information, you kind of change your tune, you change your the tactic. If quant is not working, you try qual. If qual is not working, you can you can use mixed method methodology. I believe that's a really interesting thing as well. So we can always understand a different approach based on your understanding. So pivoting is one important aspect as well, and this brings me to the fourth rule, which is the rule of agility. So you must steer the ship. AI will not pivot. It will send you down a path. It will hallucinate to the ends of the earth if you ask it the right question. If you ask AI to maximize efficiency, and if it's speaking to a participant, if there are pauses or the participant cries, I don't know why I keep saying crying, but let's imagine that there's something which is slowing down the participant, and the cue is maximize efficiency. The AI will just ignore the user altogether, because AI optimizes for scores. It doesn't optimize for the truth. So it can only score itself based on, it can only optimize itself from a score point of view. So it'll know it's doing something right based on a score, not by what we understand as the truth. So this is something which is kind of important for us to know. Okay, now this is an example of, I don't know if anybody of you heard this, searchable log of all conversation and knowledge. I think there are no prizes for getting this, because I think the image will give it away. This was Slack, and I was a little surprised how it used to be a gaming company, and it kind of got into going to become one of the biggest conversation apps in the world, conversation super apps, I could rather say. So like Slack, you can imagine 15,000 other apps. You know about Netflix, YouTube, etc., who have all changed their line of business and they've pivoted. And these are pivots that happen because you understand something. It comes from an insight which made you pivot. AI does not do this. All right. The last thing is craft your own narrative. And I forget Leonardo DiCaprio's name in the movie, but he really had a really powerful presence. Jack, yes. Okay. This was also a way to make sure that everybody's listening. Okay, so that worked. Okay, so yes, so Jack is someone who really made a difference. He literally wrote his own narrative. Nobody told him what he should do, what he shouldn't do. He just decided he should get on the boat, and he did it. Why should he? Doesn't matter. He just did what he wanted to do, and the rest is history. It's become, it's a great movie, and it's just the way he did it was something else. So this brings me to the last rule, which is the rule of the signature. So you must be the storyteller. So when we think about AI doesn't have a personality. You give it a voice, you give it taste, and you give it your own history. That's the only way it can actually have a personality, and it's yours that it's being lent, that is actually creating it. So there's this concept of RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback. It's basically this whole tendency for AI to try to come up with non-edgy responses. So basically, if you're trying to go, get a response, it will try to take the safer route. It's what we also call the beige wall tendency, where it just takes something which is the safest answer, very corporate. And of course, we all know personality comes from edginess, and this edginess is kind of important because that's where your real insights will come from. Okay, all right. So this is today we have a lot of tools to actually storytell. This was me trying out this app called Flow, and this is the way I imagine the chicken crossing the road. Okay, do I have to press something here? I think basically I just wanted to say that it dances across the road, but yeah, it's just my imagination and the way it worked. But I'm sure when you're giving your own stories, a different thing can come out. So now, yeah, I'm just going to the next. Yeah, all right. Today, okay, yeah, today this is slightly ominous. Resistance is futile this is from one of my favorite shows of all time, which is Star Trek. And this is talking about Captain Picard, and he's basically been assimilated by an alien race called the Borg. Basically, they take over different planets, the Borg organization or race, and what they do is quite interesting. They don't kill anybody; they just assimilate them. And when I say assimilate, I mean that they just imbibe all the qualities that this person had. So all the skills and that this doctor has is something this captain had is kind of taken away by the Borg, and it's something which it's quite interesting. And the way the reason why I bring this up is AI is also evolving. And today, while we've created these 5 rules that it probably doesn't adhere to, it's possible that it will in the future. It will probably create its own rules. It'll be able to do a lot more things. It'll be a lot more capable. So we need to adapt in a way. Like in the Star Trek show, of course, humans had this whole encounter in which they were able to defeat Borg. It was a very positive show. Sorry for giving the punchline away. But when we talk about it from our perspective, the Borg race is what AI is for us today, and humans is what Captain Picard stands for. So my question to you is, how are we adapting to AI? How are we adapting to the Borg race? What are we doing differently today? It's just something to think about. We don't need to get answers now. It's become slightly philosophical, and I'm sure we can't discuss the whole things right now. But this was interesting for me. And I didn't want to end it on resilience is futile, which is why I thought we'll start with this other iconic slide, which is one more thing. And this is where I wanted to actually give you some of my own cheat codes of how I'm dealing with AI. And hopefully you find it agreeable. And of course, it's something which we can also discuss a little later. So the first thing is read. When when I say read, I'm not telling you to read tons of data. My suggestion here is to understand how AI reads. It's very different from the way we consume data. It's not the same as, so when you see a table versus when AI sees a table, it's very different. The way it identifies tokens and clusters them, understanding the back end of things, it becomes a very interesting thing. Once you know the way AI understands and reads, you can actually use it better as well. So this is one thing which is really helpful for me. The second thing is cooking. Now this is something which I found very interesting as well, which is about APIs and MCPs. This is it sounds very complex. I'm not an engineer. I'm not the best at explaining this, but I spoke to a friend of mine who is an engineer, and he explained it in a very interesting way. He talked about getting a burger, and he told me that one way of getting a burger is just off the menu or in a vending machine, and it comes. And that's the API way of functioning, where you get integrations. You press a button, you get exactly what you asked for. But an MCP is like going to the chef and preparing a burger there. You can actually talk about, this is the kind of bun you want, this is the kind of cheese, remove the tomatoes, etc. You can actually customize it completely. So the way the MCP works is also extremely important as well. That isn't me. I think we can continue sitting. It's almost over. So if you remember, the first two was read, the second was cook, the third one is spell. And I think this is something which is very personal to me. This is one of the talks I had with my manager, and she was explaining this to me. It's about being a T-shaped researcher. And this was told to me was very 2019. So this is where, yeah. Oh, okay, all right, okay. So this is the cheat code, and it's something which you may not agree with, but this is what's working for me. So the first part is about understanding how to read, and this is about, the focus is on understanding how AI reads. It's different from humans' way of consuming data, so we just need to be conscious of how this happens. So this will help us use AI better once we know how it reads data. So this is the first cheat code. The second cheat code is about learning how to cook. And this comes from an analogy which an engineer friend of mine told me. So this is regarding the difference between an API, which is a pre-AI error tool, and an MCP, which is a post-AI tool. And the difference is between, so I can tell you how it works for my org, but it could be different for different teams as well. So but you need to understand it from your context about how an MCP functions. The analogy that was given to me was about ordering a burger. So you can order it off a menu, like let's say a McDonald's. It's a standard burger that will come your way, or a vending machine. But if you go to a chef, you can customize it. You can ask the chef to put X amount of cheese, this kind of bun, etc. Remove the tomatoes and whatever you want. So an MCP is a little more detailed and customizable to integrate better with other tools. And this is an important thing to understand. The third thing is very literally about the spelling of T and O. So there was a time where T researchers were really, the T format of researchers was really admired, where where the T stands for broad knowledge, the vertical T stands for deep expertise. So basically you have broad knowledge across a lot of things, but you have an expertise across one. But today with AI, things have changed, and you need to be an O-shaped researcher. And this is basically being everything all at once kind of a thing. So it's, you need to understand the ecosystem, you need to understand your qual, quant, you need to understand many more things as well. And the best part is, you don't need to get fully into detail, but you can use AI to upskill in that context. So it's something which is really important to keep in mind. There's no reason to say that, hey, I haven't specialized in this, I don't have deep expertise in this. You can use AI to to leapfrog from where you are currently. The fourth cheat code is on playing, and this actually is something which I felt is very strange, where 3 minutes ago, let's say an app is launched, and I know by Tuesday the app would have probably gotten off the market because something else would have replaced it. Things are moving really fast, and by the time the new app that replaces it comes out, it kind of, I wouldn't know what it's improving over unless I play with something first. So the idea of using the word play is it doesn't come with an objective. So when we are saying heuristic evaluation and get deep down into something, we don't always have to do that. Even if you just play, with an unintended focus to just understand the interplay of the app, understand the design, that's sometimes good enough because you get the essence of it, and when and it keeps you abreast with what else is happening in the market as well. So it's important to play. The last thing is about exercising, and this is literally exercising. It's nothing to do with AI, but it's something which I feel is really important considering all the different rectangle screens that we look at. So it just helps us detox, and I think it's really important for all of us to do. Yeah. So the cheat codes are read, understand how AI reads data, cook, learn how MCPs function, spell is become an O-shaped researcher, and play is learn to start playing with tools, and exercise, because I think everybody should have some water right now as well. With that, thank you so much.
For this insightful talk. I think we are all grappling with the question that what we are supposed to do, as you started with, and your talk actually threw some very interesting light on the whole idea of how we as researchers get our agency back in the world of these new AI agents. So yeah, and hopefully it triggers interesting thoughts and conversations for the rest of the evening. With that, I would invite Mr. Shashank Shekhar to sort of pass on the token of appreciation. Also,
thank you, Rahul. That was amazing talk. Very, very interested to know if you guys are also being encouraged to wipe code at Google.
Yes, a lot. And
tell us more.
But just so you know, we had a board games batch, just an internal team thing, in which all of us actually created board games using vibe coding. So so fun is also vibe coding now. Things have really changed a lot.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I had a question. I don't want to be too pessimistic and bring down the mood of everybody here, but I wanted to ask, the rules that you talked about, other than the last rule, the fifth signature rule, don't you think that is a factor of how good the prompting is and how much of data we have right now? As somebody who works in Google, working with data in a scale, as we keep on having more data and as we keep on improving our prompts, now there are different kinds of ways of improving prompting, reverse prompting and stuff like that. Don't you think those kind of uniqueness that we researchers bring in will be slowly and steadily evolve or be lost?
Yeah, AI is going to evolve. It is going to, it is an equal, it is, in a way, it is getting everybody at par. It is one of those powerful tools where if I didn't know how to code, if I didn't know how to design, I know I can use AI to support me. But it's still about you and how you use it. That probe is still yours, right? I think that still is not going to change. And the output is also going to, I don't imagine a future where everybody's output is going to be the same. I imagine everybody's going to create their own probes. I don't know if you've used gems on Gemini. So it's amazing. We do have I've created my own gem, and a lot of my colleagues have also created their own gems for similar things, because everybody has their own signature, and that's just one way of dealing with it. I hope it answers your question, but we can also connect later and discuss more.
Hello. I just had one question.
Okay.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
What do you think?
So the question that I have is...
that wasn't the question.
No, it wasn't. So what I want to ask is, from what I got from your talk, research should be prepared enough to allow to unfold, to connect the dots, and also to have the outlook for a holistic thinking. So that's the essence that I have concluded. So I would really like to know, is it right as per your thing? And yes, why did the chicken cross the road?
Okay. So, so according to me, the chicken wanted to dance, so that's why it was crossing the road. But okay, on the less important question of the kind of research and what it's doing, you were talking about it being holistic, and what is the other part?
Uh, Allowing the user research to be prepared enough, taking the steps ahead, and still letting to unfold to make connections, and then possibly hoping that something will emerge and make sense of it.
Okay. Okay. I get the question, but my answer is not going to be something which you're going to like, unfortunately, because I don't think we can be 100% prepared. And things are changing so fast that by the time you start the research and conclude, things would have evolved as well. So, I mean, you can be as prepared as you can get at that point, but don't let that stop you, because I think it's that era where it's okay to make some mistakes and correct fast, because right now it's faster to make corrections than to start creating. So let's just go ahead, and if it fails, fail fast, restart, make some changes. I think that's the way I look at it. I hope that
Okay.
helps.
Yeah.